What's going on, guys? It's Sean Islami. Today we're going to be using the Heavy Mace attacking Darkforest. The Heavy Mace is a top 5 weapon in this game for pub stomping in my opinion. I've always been partial to the two-handed hammer just because it has cooler skins and plays very similar. But if you're going for purely the better weapon, I think it's been a long time that I've underrated how much of a difference those things that the Heavy Mace does better, how much of a difference they make. So in Chivalry 2, when you hold block, you'll be losing stamina, and that's something that does happen a lot. And when you use the Heavy Mace, you're going to be losing it at a 10% slower rate than you would with the two-handed hammer or other weapons. It's a very rare perk that only a few weapons get, the quarterstaff and poleaxe being the other. And now here's what I really underrated about the Heavy Mace is its drags. I don't think people understand how good the drags are on the Heavy Mace. You'll see it a lot in duels if you do those, or if you play competitive play, that's where it really comes into play. But in a pub lobby like this, I don't think the player base understands just how deadly it is. It's almost as good as the Executioner Axe drag or Maul drag. Those are the two that still throw me off the most, and when you use the Heavy Mace, you're getting almost as good a drag with a much more well-rounded weapon. It's a monster. Now, as we get off to a terrible start in this game, in case you didn't know about blunt weapons in Chivalry 2, things like the Warhammer, Heavy Mace, two-handed hammer, you get hit stop. And what that means is if you hit someone, the weapon stops on contact and you can't swing through people unless you do a heavy swing. And that's how I like to play the Heavy Mace, is to go into crowds, look for someone to feed me a counter, and heavy swing through knights like crazy. And to counteract that downside, what the blunt weapons get as an advantage is they do 50% more damage to knights. They are devastating the knights. They also get bonus damage to footmen, but I would guess about 2/3 of every lobby is knights because it's just the most popular class. So you won't even notice that reduced damage too much unless there's a lot of vanguards, which isn't the most common in a pub. And before we get into our usual narrated gameplay, funny moments and the like throughout the video, I did want to give you guys an update on some videos that are getting done, because quite honestly, I have been a little lazy just doing these narrated games, which is the bread and butter of the channel. But the Player Spotlight series will be returning. It's going to be a little different and higher effort than it was before because I think I can do it a little differently. What I'll be doing is showing players gameplay, famous players throughout the community of Chivalry 2 and some of the legends of the game, and I'll be rating them on skills out of certain numbers, what I'm still figuring out right now, and you'll get to see what these players are about, a lot of the ones that you run into in these lobbies. And good news is, so far I have the 2 best pub stompers in all of Chivalry 2 to agree to do it so far. Four Eyes Nerd Version, if you've seen him in game, and Aragi Karan, who for my money is the best player in the game, and he just did a tier list video for all the weapons in Chivalry 2. That'll be in the description for you to check out. And if you want to get some games in, I've been playing with you guys nonstop in the Discord. That'll be in the pinned comment. Now, that's enough of me yapping. Let's get into the gameplay. So as I said, I did get off to a terrible start, but I'll leave you guys to see how many kills we got by the end of this. I've been having issues with my internet. I haven't been able to record. I actually had my highest kill game with the Heavy Mace the other day. It was 93 kills. I came so close to getting 100, but this one won't be quite that many, but it was a really dominant game. I think the Heavy Mace is extremely similar to the Messer in that it has no real weakness and is just so well rounded and rewards highly skilled players. So now we're going to get into a duel with their best player on level 1000 Ambusher. Ambushers are very tough to fight, and this is an underrated strategy you can do against a one-hander, is take out your own, just because it can be so difficult to fight them with a slower two-hander, and especially if they're aggressive in your face, just like Kors was here. I don't know him personally, but he did thank me for the command after a good fight, so shout out him. Here I get some main character syndrome, thinking I'm going to swing through a bunch of knights, and we're going to take a tumble down here. A little bit of a tough look. Now we're going to get into a fight against a battle axe, which is always tough to fight one-on-one. Get some backup, and get a nice overhead there. Once again, I can't stress enough that the heavy mace doesn't really have any bad attack. It excels, it drags, and when you use an overhead or a slash, it just doesn't matter. The biggest weakness is the stab, but even then, it's not really a bad attack. There's just nothing it does poorly. Very solid fight here. There's quite a few of these in this game, but this is the problem when you get an extended 1-versus-1 too deep in enemy territory. Eventually, they're going to get back up. You don't want to get into a 1-versus-1 too long like that. If you want to do it, go to a dual server. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but we lost quite a few players in the game. It won't last long though, but right now it's about a 22 versus 21, I believe it said. Don't worry though, it'll fill up. So check this out here. If you use slash or overhead and then combo into a heavy stab, it works with a lot of weapons, but heavy mace is once again good at that. You can really disguise it well, and it looks like you're holding it to an inexperienced player. It's really good at tricking people once you combo into it. You got to do it right away. It hits very consistently. So the funny thing at this point is that there's a few top players in this game, and since everybody dropped, we are feasting on a really inexperienced lobby for a few minutes, but right now it's going to fill up and a bunch of people are going to join. Something I didn't mention earlier, though, is that I think the pub stomping does get a little old in these videos. We're going to laugh at this archer because he's backing up behind his teammates and they leave him to die. But I did join a clan. There's going to be some competitive videos coming up, competitive play. So that's something I'm going to put... That's something I put in the community post, but in case you missed it, that will be upcoming once my internet's figured out. I've done a few matches with not so great internet, and we didn't play too well either, which I don't mind because, you know, I'm new to competitive play, but this channel will always be for the casuals. So once my internet is figured out, we're going to get some of those games on here. You guys can take a look at what that's like. Even if it won't be the focus, I do think a lot of people would be interested to see it. Let me know in the comments if you disagree. I know this channel is for the casuals first and foremost. I've always said that. But it's good to switch it up in my opinion. Let me know though. So we're going to refuse to back up here and it's just going to go about how you'd expect. Fighting a spear 1-versus-1 should not be this difficult. I'm kind of cringing at this gameplay looking back. I have no clue what I'm doing, but luckily we do catch him with a drag. Kind of a mess of a fight. Here I'm going to get in a 1vx, but turn my back to a spawn wave, and you'll never guess what happens next. So at this point, time is becoming of the essence. I don't know how it got this close. Sicard has been at the edge for a very long time. I was being lazy with the objective, I'll be honest, because I haven't done Darkforest in a while and I wanted it to go a little longer. But now we gotta help the team because they're having a lot of trouble on the cart. Not much of note going on. Sorry, I'm a little quiet, but a lot of kills from behind, oddly enough. So check this out right here. It's been a while since I pointed this out. You can always crouch while you're attacking with an overhead into the ground and excel it much faster. It doesn't work as well on this weapon as it does with something quick like the longsword, or even the battle axe is really good at that. The overhead to overhead feint is one of the nastiest things you could add to your repertoire in this game. It's a really great thing. It takes some practice on a controller, but once you have it down, it becomes second nature. Definitely something that you wanted to be able to do because it just works so consistently. It's one of the best feints you can mix into your arsenal. Missing your overhead and dragging it into the back of their ankles is such an effective thing you can do as well. To do this much easier, what you want to do is have your dead zone settings nearly at the minimum. Whatever you can get the lowest without having stick drift. Just check your right stick dead zone settings if you're on controller. It gives you a mouse-like precision, and it's one of the most useful things you can do because a lot of times you're going to miss that overhead and you could drag it back into their ankles to still get that hit. I have a controller guide. If you want to check that out, definitely look it up. But the Poleaxe, Community Legend, Medic Muffin, whatever you want to call them, also has a guide as well that I have in the pinned comment on that for a deeper dive. But if you want to see my settings or a breakdown of how to play on controller, I'll link that in the description for you. This teammate really wants this kill and is walking right in front of me, so I'm going to give him a whack with no regrets. Here I have a free shot in Archer, but you'll never guess what happens next. So while I was giving my rundown of the heavy mace in the very beginning of the game, this guy got the better of me pretty easily, so I'm going to respect emote him, and we're going to get into a nice duel. I'm going to leave him on the ground in case he wants to walk on a fire and save himself a death out of respect. Unfortunately, once he dies, it doesn't command. It is what it is. But now we got a beautiful 2 archer kills. Those always count as multiple kills for me. Now I'm going to get a kill on my own teammate. This always feels horrible. I'm going to apologize to him and beg him out because he doesn't forgive me, which I don't blame him for, but never a good feeling to do that. Darkforest can be frustrating because if you're on attack and roll the team the entire time, at the very end of the game, it's just so hard to get to the Duke. In that sense, it just is not balanced, I don't think. And now I really want to kill this Duke after he's out here trying to flex on everyone. Getting showboated on never feels good, so let's see if we can get this done. When the Duke was in the very front trying to show off, it really did rub me the wrong way. So I'm piling up the deaths, trying to push up here, and I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith because it's at 2 minutes and he's being defended so well, and at nearly full health, things are looking bleak right now. So I died a ton at the end. We had an insane and monster game individually, but we're not able to get it done. I do think my team was trying their best, but they couldn't break through. The Duke was just defended so well. If you guys want to check out my best longsword videos, it's all in one bingeable video on the screen now. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.